Welcome to Sulzbach Talk. I'm your host, Jonathan Sulzbach. This podcast is not only an audio podcast, but it also features an optional video component, which makes this a video podcast. It's just me with a laptop, a webcam, and some hyperactive eyebrows you may watch if you wish. Now then, let's begin. Beauty and the Beast, a tale as old as time. Every retelling introduces a few new wrinkles, and these latest wrinkles seem to be ruffling feathers. From the appearance of the Beast, to the casting of Belle, Emma Watson, to the alleged change-up with regard to Le Fou's sexuality. Let's address that. On one hand, Le Fou is a prime character to receive tinkering because his characterization, historically speaking, has been minimal. He's usually played as comic relief. On the other hand, because he's so minor, changing anything about him will generate interest or curiosity. But that's kind of the point of a remake. We find ourselves wondering, what's going to be different this time? What are they going to do better or worse? To say that Le Fou is pertinent to the story is rubbish. Therefore, changing him in this capacity is a head-scratcher. Why have they done it? Truthfully, I think the film is seeking to justify its existence. With the 1991 animated film having done so many things so well, what can this film do better? And if not better, then what can it do differently? I think this is one of the things it's trying to do differently by characterizing a smaller cast member in a different light. Whether you like that or not, it's there. You can choose to see the movie, you can choose not to see the movie. Just be sure that you know what's in the movie. But I would recommend that for any movie you see, any book you read, and if you're going to ride the bus, you should find out how that works. I'm not really sure what that has to do with anything. The point is, don't check your brain at the door. Personally, I have never cared for the story of Beauty and the Beast, and I'll tell you why. Two main reasons. It commits two crimes. The first is that it presents a deeply unsettling scenario. The second is that it celebrates, wittingly or unwittingly, a dangerous ideology. The scenario is this. A romance blossoms due to manipulation. The ideology is this. The love of a good woman can tame the savage beast. Combine these two and you've got all kinds of problems. But let's back up for a second. In principle, true love, that is self-sacrificing love, can warm and even change the coldest of hearts. Consider, if you will, a more recent movie, Logan. It's the swan song of Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine. Logan has long been portrayed as more beast than man, from his heightened senses to his wild hair, his general hairiness, and the fact that he actually has claws. Snip! Claws! I mean, he can slice and dice. I haven't seen the movie, sadly, but I intend to. But the trailer shows the presence of a young girl in Logan's life, and that's the story. Logan is world-weary, he's grown apathetic, he's not healing anymore, but this young girl it puts him in a paternal role, whether he wants to or not, and it helps flesh out a part of his personality that has become ingrown. I like the idea of this girl and this beast man interacting because it's not romantic, it's paternal, and it accomplishes something that's not romantic, and it's not, romantically contrived to arrive at some troubling conclusion. That's why I'm interested in that, and that's why I think it's a positive example of that dynamic. Here's another one. Let's see. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, an older story, much older story. Quasimodo. The pitiful, deformed Quasimodo, the hunchback with a heart of gold. He doesn't get the girl in his story, Esmeralda. And while that's tragic, he is a genuinely good guy. Ben Grimm, aka the Thing from the Fantastic Four. Orange and covered in boulders, he's not too pretty to look at. But he's got a good heart. And his girlfriend, Alicia Masters, sees without seeing and loves him because of it. Kong, Skull Island, is in theaters now. I haven't seen that, but historically and famously, King Kong ends with this line. No, it was not the plains. It was Beauty killed the beast. Another tragedy, and another instance where, beast and woman, there's that dynamic, but it doesn't delve into romantic entanglements or manipulation. Peter Jackson's King Kong is another story, which we won't talk about. I don't regard that so highly. I think it falls into the trap of taking things too far. Where we see things go astray along those lines, though not so heavily, is in Avengers: Age of Ultron. Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, can seemingly tap into Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk's human part of his mind when he's in Hulk mode, and she can soothe that savage beast. But just think of how dysfunctional that relationship would be if Hulk suddenly squashed Spider. Oops. That's a ridiculous scenario, but fast forward to 50 Shades of Grey. There you have a terrible relationship built on a foundation of selfishness and pleasure. Presumably, I haven't seen it, I haven't read about it. Now imagine a real relationship, an all too real relationship where a man treats a lady poorly, and the lady loves him too much to leave, or she's afraid to leave, or for some reason she can't leave, and she's hoping against hope that her love might be enough to someday change and reform him. It's pretty sad, and it's quite realistic. You could easily reverse those roles, but the point remains. It's a bad relationship. And Beauty and the Beast, knowingly or otherwise, develops that kind of relationship. If we're strictly talking about beasts, the four-legged variety, cats and dogs, then yes, rescue strays, rehabilitate them, love on them, and you will actually see a positive transformation. Those videos are on YouTube. They turned me to mush. They will turn you to mush. I highly recommend them. People are a different matter. Yes, treat them with kindness, show them love, but people can be selfish and people can be manipulative. To the story's credit, the Beast does let Belle go free. That shows that at some point he truly cares more for her than he does about himself. But as a storytelling mechanic, for me, it's unforgivable that their romance blossoms amidst Belle's captivity. That's akin to Stockholm Syndrome. The Beast creates the only conceivable environment in which this can happen. What develops between them does so unnaturally because the scenario is manufactured. Their romance is built on a foundation of selfishness and manipulation. Phew, Doc, that's heavy. Let's shift gears onto a lighter topic. The appearance of Beast in the live-action adaptation. He is accomplished through computer-generated imagery, but is layered on top of a physical performance. I don't know if you've seen the trailers, but I think he looks terrible, personally. My wife and I saw the trailers and we're just like, ugh. Uncanny Valley, the appearance where you see something, your brain's not entirely sure to what to make of it. You know it's not real. You know it's supposed to be real. It just sits uncomfortably. I think they would have been wise to go with makeup and prosthetics. In the 1980s, Ron Perlman and Linda Hamilton were part of a TV show of Beauty and the Beast, and Ron Perlman wore makeup and prosthetics. It gave you the ability to see the actor's eyes, to hear his own voice, to get his physical presence and performance on set. And regardless of how convincing the makeup may have been, you believed it was a real actor portraying a character, and your suspension of disbelief, my suspension of disbelief, was more natural. I think that it would have been wise if they had done this, and it would have given them one more thing to set them apart from the animated version. I think the animated version looks great, but you know it's 100% fake because it's all animated. It doesn't even exist anywhere except on a sheet of paper or clear, whatever the artists animate on. At least with an actor, you know that there was a real person there with real costuming and real makeup. It's the difference between CGI Millennium Falcon in The Force Awakens and model Millennium Falcon in the original Star Wars trilogy, but I digress. I think that about wraps up Beauty and the Beast. I would like to end with a quote that is not from Beauty and the Beast, but is instead from Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, which is ostensibly a movie about a man who dresses up as a bat and thinks he's a beast, but we won't dive into that. The quote is from the Joker. He and Vicky Vale are atop of a cathedral. Batman is lurking somewhere in the shadows, about to rescue Vicky. And the Joker's doing this strange waltz with Vicky, who is an unwilling participant, but she's just sort of like, whatever, save me, Batman. I can't do a good Jack Nicholson impression, so I'll just deliver the lines plainly. But he says this: "It's as though we were made for each other. Beauty and the Beast. Of course, if anyone else calls you Beast, I'll rip their lungs out." Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please do chime in with a comment, a thumbs up, a thumbs down, an observation, an anecdote. If you liked it, let me know. And if you didn't like it, let me know. If you would like to support the show, you may do so at patreon.com/Sulzbach Talk. That's Sulzbach, Sulzbach. Spell talk on your own time. I'll be posting the outline for this episode and possibly sharing alternate takes and mistakes, of which there are numerous. Once again, I am Jonathan Sulzbach. Good night and adios.